So, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class on tribology for Saturday's class. So, we were dealing related to some concepts in the last class. So, what was it? It was mainly with respect to the modified addition theory using the concept of junction growth, and we also dealt about the deformation theory. With respect to that, we spoke about the plowing, and I also told that plowing comes into picture when you have a very small, negligible amount of adhesion. So when there is no adhesion layer in between the mechanical components, then the plowing will come into picture. So with respect to the plowing, we studied about 4 models of asperities with respect to the shape, such as conical, spherical, uprightal, and transverse type of cylinder. So in that, we derived the coefficient of friction values for 2 models. One is of the hard conical asperity model, and the second one was the spherical asperity model. So we also dealt about, related to the aspherical models. So these were the things what we covered in the last class. So once it was done, now it is the time for you to understand what are the measurement methods which are available, okay, to measure the amount of coefficient of friction which come across in any given object which is sliding against each other, right? So the main principle, before going to the methods, only few lines what you have to understand. So you know that the basic principle for measuring any friction using the measuring instrument is you need to have 2 specimens, right? So which slides against each other. So if it has to slide, what is the constraint you will be using? You will be specifying a normal load. So normal load will be nothing but the self weight of the given specimen. So when it is sliding, you have a relative motion. So when you have a relative motion against the 2 specimens, then we evaluate usually what is the tangential force and the resisting motion, which could be measured easily. So resisting motion mainly depends upon the material what you are using to make your specimens. So based on its resistivity, you will determine the resistive motion when subjected to some load, okay? And also we evaluate the tangential force. So this is the main concept or the funda what we need in order to evaluate the coefficient of friction of any given specimen. So to evaluate, we have different measuring methods. And these methods keep on varying depending upon what is the geometry of the specimen you are using, which is a type of loading condition you are using, okay, and about the resisting force. So all these things have to be evaluated. So to evaluate, you have to select the best method which is feasible enough to get a good, accurate value. So to get the values of any specimen related to our frictional parameters, we have 4 methods. So one is the inclined plane rig, the second is the pin on the disc rig, the third is the conformal and non-conformal geometry rig, and last is with respect to the environmental aspects. I told you that the coefficient of friction also depends with respect to the surrounding or the environment in which you are keeping. Not only the environmental constraint, it depends upon many properties, right? From the material, the geometry, right? All the physical parameters, the density of the material, and also the type of lubricant you are using, and whether the given material have the adhesiveness in it or not, or else deformation comes into picture, whether you are using both soft material, one hard and soft material. So everything plays a vital role. So with respect to so many constraints, you should be able to select the best feasible method to get the right value of the coefficient of friction for that particular specimens, okay? So in that, we are starting up with inclined plane rig. So this you have studied already. It is not a new thing. So while giving the description about the concept of friction also in the beginning class, we have just dealt about the angle of inclination and all. So how it comes into picture when the blocks get started sliding. So at sliding, what is the inclination of the angle we evaluate? right? So all these we have studied. So that concept, what we have studied, comes into the method of inclined plane rig. Okay, so in this inclined plane rig, the simplest arrangement is as shown in the diagram over here. Okay, so here you will be having a specimen. So this is a specimen which is in the rectangular shape. So you have a specimen which will be actually placed on a horizontal plane. So when you have placed a block on the horizontal plane, then you slightly tilt this horizontal plane until the blocks get started sliding down. Okay, so that angle you will be, you can refer that as theta, yeah, q, yeah, whatsoever. Okay, so that will be the angle of inclination. Okay, angle of repose. So that is the angle with which the block gets sliding down. So based on that angle theta, yeah, q, we can determine the value of m, which is nothing but our coefficient of friction with respect to the interface. So that will be equal to tan theta, yeah, tan q, based on what the angle you are representing as a parameter. Okay, so apart from that, we have studied every block what you use will be having its self weight. So this will be the normal load W, and the block will be sliding here down. So due to this direction of relative motion, you will be having the frictional force acting in the opposite direction, right? The self load is exactly coming down towards the earth gravitational force, but the plane in which the block is resting is not with respect to the horizontal surface. So the self weight will be resolved into two components as per your trigonometrical concept, and then we will evaluate. So this is the simplest method, which is very easy without any complexion, where one can use to measure the coefficient of friction. Okay, it again mainly depends upon how good the material you have used. Some materials, if you use the same material for the substrate as well as the block, it will not get slided down very easily. You should start applying more pressure on the resting position, then only it comes down slightly with n number of jerks. And some material is so feasible that it has so good adhesiveness in between the both, they slightly just move down very smoothly. So again, it depends upon the material what you are selecting. So for a smooth movement of sliding down below, so this is more feasible way to measure the coefficient of friction between two specimens which is sliding against each other. So this is the first method. Next is pin on disc rig, it is called. Okay, so this is a diagram how an pin on disc rig looks like. So it will be having a circular disc, and you will be having a pin, and on the pin a normal dead load will be applied. So this will be held stationary. So it will be held stationary with respect to the dead load what you are applying, so that you will be able to rotate the disc either in clockwise, yeah, anti-clockwise, whichever is required. Okay, so this is about the construction of the instrument. So now you have to study what happens here exactly. Suppose if you need a continuous sliding case, you have the specimen which has to be slided continuously. So then it is feasible to go for pin on disc rig method. Okay, so here what happens is the pin on disc configuration, you have to study what happens in this especially. So here the pin will be held stationary always, and you subject a normal load. So this will be the pin. On pin you will be subject, this will be the pin which will be held stationary. On the pin you will apply a normal load, so which is the dead load what you apply on it, so that the pin will be held stationary, and hence the disc can revolve continuously. Okay. And here the loading what you apply will be very simple type of dead weights only. So when you have applied the dead weight across the pin, and you will revolve the disc. So the frictional force is measured with the help of using an transducer. So it could be an capacitive type of transducer or an inductive type of transducer. You have studied about the transducers in your mechanical measurements and metrology, and I hope even in mechatronics to some extent you have studied the transducer. So what is a transducer? It is a device which helps to convert the one form of energy into the other. So you might be having stage 1 transducer, stage 2 transducer, and stage 3 transducers. So these transducers help to receive the data as an input, and it will convert that in the intermediate stage, and it provides the required output in the last stage. So that is the transducer third stage. So the relative motion of the specimen on the disk will be transferred as an output by using either capacitive based transducer or inductive based transducer. So this transducer will be basically mounted on the stationary specimen. Okay, so if you keep any specimen on the pin here, it will be held stationary. Okay, so you will place it at the position where it is held stationary, so that the relative motion can be sensed and it can be converted into the required output for measuring. So transducers, again, you have three stages. One can just read the data what you're getting, and another type of transducer can store the data, and in another type of transducer can transmit the data from one to the other device if you need a connectivity from one device to another. So based on the requirement, you can go with which type of transducer you need based on the capacitive or inductive transducer. So directly the motion will be recorded here with the help of using transducers. So this is very essential when you need a continuous turn. If it is just a single slide, you can measure it manually and calculate the theoretical values. But when it is a continuous sliding motion, you need some device to measure and record the data so that you can do the compilation and analysis of the data what you're getting with respect to the time period. For that, the main thing is you need a digital recording which helps in sensing the relative motion and transferring the input signal into the required output. For that, the transducer is a must in case of pin-on-disk rig. Okay. And for a multi-pass arrangement, what you need is the pin is held at a constant radial distance from the center of the disk. So this is for continuous sliding. And along with that, if you need a multiple pass with periodic time, okay, one mass, it will be having some dwell time, a matter of 1 second, 1 minute, again the second pass, third pass, fourth pass, like this. If you need the sliding moment, then the pin will be arranged specifically at a particular distance from the center. So you have to see the distance which is needed from the center to the point where you are fixing the pin. So if you do that, then the passes 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever could be got as per the requirement. So this is for multi-pass arrangement. And if in case a single pass arrangement is needed, you can just move it radially during the experiment. So you will move radially by manual type, whether you need in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction for a single pass arrangement. If you need for a single pass arrangement, you can go with the previous method also. So the main thing here what I need to explain is, so this pin-on-disk equipment can be used for measurement of coefficient of friction on continuous sliding, for the multiple passes, and also for the single pass. So it is capable of measuring all the way of sliding motion which come across in between the two specimens. So again, it depends upon which is the material of the specimen, what you are using, whether it will be feasible enough or you have a better option. So this you have to understand. So apart from this, there are other varieties of pin-on-disk rig measurement arrangements. So those are pin-on cylinder, crossed cylinder, reciprocating arrangements. So these are used as per the requirement. So here bottom you can see 3 diagrams. So the first one is pin-on cylinder. So you'll be having a cylinder on which you apply the pin, and this pin will be held stationary with respect to the normal load what you are applying, and it will be rotating with respect to the clockwise direction. So second one is crossed cylinder. So here you have the same cylinder here, right? But you are keeping the pin in a different position, right? So it will be in the form of an if this is the center, it is moving in clockwise direction. So with respect to the moment, you are placing the pin in an crossed way, and hence it is told to be as a crossed cylinder, and you will be applying the load here to keep this stationary. And last one is the reciprocating rig. So here you have an substrate or the structure on which you have a pin which has been held stationary with respect to the normal load. So here you can see the motion, it can have the reciprocatory motion. So based on the required relative motion you need between the two specimens, you can go ahead with respect to the different methods of arrangement under the measuring skill of pin on disc rig. So this is the second method, which is very much suitable for continuous sliding or even for multi-pass, and even in the rare case for the single pass arrangement. So to measure these three categories, we have like around 4 type of arrangements under the category of pin on disc. So this is for your information related to the second method of measuring the coefficient of friction between any two components. And next method is conformal and non-conformal geometry rig. So what happens here? So what do you understand by the word conformal and non-conformal? So one thing you have to understand is, even these are the test rigs, all are the test rigs instruments what we are using to measure the value, right? So here it is classified as either conformal or non-conformal depending on the geometry of the test. Okay, so based on the geometry, you have the bifurcations. So first we will deal up with the first one, which is called as the conformal geometry test. So what does this indicate? Here the profile of the two contacting surfaces are matched carefully before the experiment is started. So both the contacting surfaces will be matched exactly to see that whether it is fitting with respect to the geometry, the condition of the material, okay, so how it is processed, what will be the maximum contact area which comes into contact, whether any junction growth will arise or not, is it made up of same material component or not. So everything will be checked, and you will map only the same kind of contacting surfaces together, and hence it is said to be as conformal. If it is soft material on one hand, the other mechanical component should be also made up of soft material. Then flowing comes into picture, or else it should be hard, and both the mechanical components should be synthesized in the same way. So it should be having the similar mechanical and physical properties. So it will map both the contacting surfaces carefully before doing the experiment, so that it will be very feasible to evaluate its value of coefficient of friction. So if you are mapping both the profiles before doing the experiment, then it is called to be as our conformal geometry test. So in this case, the contact pressure is always moderate and normally held constant throughout the experiment. Why this happens? This happens only when you have the two specimens of the same nature, same material you are using, and hence there is no like a necessity to have more pressurized contact, right? So it will be feasibly adhering in between each other, and the amount of normal load which is coming will be applying a reasonable pressure on it, and it will be moving slightly without or with less amount of friction. And hence you can say that the amount of pressure which is coming across the contact area, either while sliding or rolling, will be constant or consistent throughout the experiment. But this matter changes if you are using different materials. Suppose if you use hard material also, there are a number of classification of hard material. Again, if you have any variation in between, so then what happens? Again, the asperities across the surface will result in having more friction. So then again, the lubrication film thickness, what you are using, the grade, the viscosity, everything has to be altered to see that the pressure is not very high across the contacting area, or else again the wear and the friction comes into picture. And as a result, in conformal way, it is a very best and safe way to proceed, where you will check the entire profile of the two specimens before you start the experiment. So this type of test can be used to simulate the situations in where you need to apply the brakes, when you want to use this in thrust bearings, plain bearings, etc. So the results, how it operates, what is the extension or what is the range of friction you are getting, everything can be stimulated and checked before in actual use. So this is a conformal geometry test where you do the entire testing with the simulation of its working before you put forward into an experimental platform. So this is about the conformal geometry rig. Next, we need to go for non-conformal geometry rig. So what happens in case of non-conformal geometry test? So here, the contact pressure is initially high. Why? Because of the first loading. Then the contact is made at a single point, right? So it depends upon whether the load you're applying across, whether the load which is coming across the contact area, is it pointed at a single point or it is uniformly distributed. So in case of conformal geometry rig, what happens is at the contact between the two mechanical components, the contact pressure will be initially very high because it will be subjected at a particular point, and later okay, so it will be very high and later the contact is made at a single point. Mean to say that initially it will be high and later it will be reduced. So with respect to the time, the pressure reduces due to the development of small wear cars. Why wear comes into picture? Due to heavy load or heavy pressure applied at the contact, and those materials are not capable enough in bearing the pressure or the load, and as a result, this happens usually in between the hard materials of different material what you are using, and as a result, the deformation comes into picture, and the asperities from one of the maximum hard material transfers to the other, and the wear penetrates, junction growth, everything, and the scars, everything will increase, and at that place the contact area slightly increases, and due to the increased contact area by the wear, the amount of pressure reduces. So this happens in case of non-conformal geometry rig. But this type of wear growth, wear scar will not be there in case of our conformal geometry rig. So that is a safe way of performing the required relative motion between the two components with reduced amount of friction and wear. And in this way, you will be taking all the risk which comes whether accidentally, intentionally, because you're using like a random type of materials for the two mechanical components where sliding or rolling has to occur. So all type of frictions and the wear, everything will penetrate in due to non-conformal way of your arrangement of the mechanical components for the required relative motion. And even this kind of thing can be simulated to see what happens when you have subjected the heavily loaded contacts. So the examples are the gear teeth, okay, so which will help you to provide the required acceleration and test the amount of friction and wear which come across the material which are in contact with each other. So this will vary from one application to another. So every application you cannot see that you use the same type of material, right? So it varies where you need some high relative motions where the component has to wear high loading capacity. So you need hard materials. Even though you use both of them as the hard materials, both the hard materials will be having different material properties. So when you have the variation, then it is not possible to map both the profiles into a similar way. Then this type of all disturbance comes into picture. But still all these heavy loading condition variations could be simulated to see what is the amount of friction and the wear which it can reach to an upper limit, right? And slightly, if possible, that could be fine-tuned if time permits. Or else you have to go up with the relative motion with large amount of wear and tear. So that will be not more feasible enough for a longer run of relative motion. So this is about non-conformal geometry rig. Next aspect, what I told is measurement method. How do you select based on the environment control? I told that all the values of coefficient of friction or any other friction parameter is also directly affected to our external environment. So an accurate investigation for the friction test must be carried out in an enclosed environment and simulate the environmental conditions. Suppose if you're too focused and dedicated to get a qualitative relative motion between the two mechanical components with high efficiency, reduced amount of wear and tear, you should also be having a sophisticated design to check the environmental condition virtually. So the only possible way is to simulate the environmental condition and to check what is the accurate investigation for the friction you can do before it is applied in practical. So that should be done here. And I told you that the different frictional pairs can be susceptible to the various parameters, such as when you are using the lubricants, again the grades gets varied. The level of viscous in the lubricant varies, and also the water vapor and the gases which are applied on the other substrate by means of some vacuum pressure. So all these will be having different frictions. So when you have different pairs of specimens with this type of different categories, so you'll be having n number of coefficient of frictions which gets varied with respect to external environment as well as to the parameters what you are using as an specimen, right? So all these gets varied and you won't be having a consistent value because even the environment keeps on changing. The environment condition keeps on changing, and with respect to material, you are using different lubricant, and suppose the water vapors are being evaluated, so that effect of water vapor across the mechanical component and the compressed gases which is coming across the mechanical component, all this will affect your values. So this all constraints have to be considered with respect to the environmental control aspects. So if you refer this to our previous method, the pin on disc test are usually carried out in the presence of lubricants, mainly the liquid lubricants, because you need a continuous flow of motion. So where you need as a must is our lubricant. So usually we do it with liquid type of lubricant. If you use a very high viscous thing, then you cannot get the required amount of smooth movement or the sliding. And hence we need to use the liquid type of lubricants. So what will be the result in case of pin-on disc test is, the results will vary due to poorly controlled hydrodynamic conditions at the interface. So based on the liquid, it will be having the verification with respect to the grade, and as a result, hydrodynamic is nothing but the flow of water and associated energy due to its movement. So due to this movement and variation in the amount of energy associated with the fluid flow, the values of the coefficient of friction will not be consistent and it will be varying. So this type of variation come across in pin-on disc test when it is subjected to external environment. External environment might be warm, or the temperature might be high, or sometimes what happens that humidity might be more, or the amount of air might be moving with a very high speed with more pressure. So all those will affect the fluid or the liquid what you are using as a lubricant. So due to fluctuation in the movement of the film of the lubricant, you will not be getting a consistent value, and hence in these cases it is not hydrodynamically controlled. In that case, you should see that you are placing this pin-on disc test in a safe, surrounded environment which is feasible, and you can get a consistent value of coefficient of friction measurements. And even due to this variation, sometimes what happens is some amount of deformations on the rigs are also being caused. I told you the environmental effects. Suppose the outside environment is very high, or the amount of lubricant what you are using is inducing some increase in the temperature. If you tell like thermal loading or any type of thermal based pressure, then the deformation comes into picture from the harder material to the softer material. Then the junction growth increases, contact area increases. So all those things happen. And again, it results in the variation in the measuring parameters. So to overcome all these variations while measuring the frictional parameters, it is advisable to use and proper environmental conditions with least amount of variations. In that way, you can control the system or the environment within which you are housing your specimen of the mechanical components to get the relative motion with high efficiency and reduced amount of wear and tear. So this is about the environment control aspect related to the measuring methods of friction. So this was a measuring method part. So I will take like for 5 minutes more, and then I will ask you people to take the quiz. So after the quiz, you can start answering the attendance. So this was one section in your syllabus which had measuring methods for the friction. So then what you have to understand is the value of the friction varies with respect to metals as well as non-metals. So you have a subtopic in your module 2 which speaks about friction of metals and friction of non-metals. So in non-metals, you study about the ceramics and polymers with respect to ceramics and polymers, how the friction parameters keep on changing. And before going to that, you should study something related to friction of metals. So you know the bifurcation between metals and non-metals, all those. So it is no need for me to explain again. We are directly going for the concept of friction related to metals. So if you are using two metals as your two mechanical components, and if the metal surfaces are cleaned, and if it has a very strong adhesion, then you can observe that it is associated with high friction. Why? You are not using any lubricant film in between here. You have two good metals which is cleaned enough and it has strong adhesion against each other, but still it will be having, exhibiting high amount of friction. Why? Because you'll be having a strong metallic bond which forms across the interface. So both are metals and it forms a very strong metallic bond because it has a very good adhesion in between each other. So due to this strong adhesion across the interface, so when these surfaces are pulled apart, it results in transferring the amount of energy from one body to the other, and also the friction will be high because you are not even using any lubricant. We are just speaking with respect to two metal specimens sliding or rolling against each other, how the friction values will get varied. So main reason is due to the strong adhesion, you will be having strong metallic bonding across the interface of the two contact areas. Okay. So now only one example here is taken as gold, usually is an ductile material and it forms easily no oxide film in the air. So as a result, what happens? The junction growth in the gold will contact junction growth in gold, which is in contact. Okay, gold to gold, which is in contact, leads to high frictional value for gold. Okay, so due to non-formation of the oxide film, what happens? The junction growth usually comes when you are using two metals. One is the gold, which is the hard material, and other one is another metal what you are using. So now, due to no oxide film across the air, so the amount of penetration of asperities from the hard body to the soft body moves, and as a result the junction growth increases, area of contact also increases. So this leads to high frictional value. This is just an example for gold. Similarly, okay, for all the metals, what happens is usually most of the metals, most of the metal oxide, I'm not speaking only about the metals. So most of the metal oxides, typically, when it is exposed to the open atmosphere, it forms an oxide film. So this film will be in the range in between 1 to 10 mm thick. And this oxide film is framed out within very few minutes when it is exposed to an clean open surface. So these are the properties of all the metal oxides. Suppose if you are using a metal oxide and you subject that surface to the external atmosphere, okay, so it easily forms an oxide film. So the range, again, it depends upon which category of metal oxides you are using. So the minimum to upper limit is 1 mm to 10 mm thick. So this is the formation of the oxide film. So if you have an oxide film in between, then the junction growth will not increase. But in gold, which is ductile, it doesn't form any oxide film when you expose in air. And as a result, even though you use the gold ornaments continuously, it won't form any oxide layers across the surface and form any type of corrosions or not. It is free from the external environment variations, and hence the cost of gold is also high. So these are the few things what you have to understand when we speak about friction related to our metals. I think, yeah, it is 10:16. So before going, okay, next I will explain in the next class. You can just see that the coefficient of friction of all the type of metals with some examples are given here. So the values of coefficient of friction varies depending upon the mating surface. So if it is self-weighted, this is the coefficient of friction what you get. If it is resting on any other structure, suppose if here it is shown for an example of mild steel. So if it is resting on a different metal component, so then this is the coefficient of friction what you get. If the mating component is also same as that of the material what you are using, so then this will be the range of the coefficient of friction what you get. So these are the values what I have extracted from a research paper. So here the people have tested for silver, platinum, antimony, lead, chromium, copper, iron, magnesium, okay, and some other metal alloys also, like lead based, white metal, lead brass. So they have tested and shown the coefficient of friction, how the values will be when it is self-mated and when it is resting on a mild steel component. So this is for your reference. And only one graph I'll just show you before going for the next slides are for coefficient of friction, how it is varying. Okay, so here you can see the effect of oxygen on the sliding friction of pure iron. So you have a pure iron, so when it is exposed right to the external environment, either in the vacuum, and if it is subjected under vacuum we are discussing here. So all iron materials are having a very free nature to get rusted easily. Why? Due to the effect of oxygen in the external environment. Suppose you have an iron, so on which the oxygen is been sliding continuously. So how it slides, the oxygen have to touch the surface of the iron. So that could be possible with high pressure. When you subject and vacuum, means you are passing the air under some vacuum, means you are pressurizing the gas to pass through the iron. So when you increase the pressurization, so what happens is the coefficient of friction increases. So this is a graph which shows for an interval of 15 hours, okay, with a uniform amount of mm of Hg of vacuum which is supplied, the coefficient of friction will cross 1 and it will be nearly to 2, okay, not 2 exactly, nearly to 2. And later when you increase the vacuum in several mm of Hg, slightly the coefficient of friction gets increases. So as you increase the amount of oxygen into it under the vacuum, okay, so the coefficient of friction start increasing. Why? Because it is a property of the iron which gets affected easily due to the oxygen when it is coming in contact with high amount of pressure. Okay, so this is tested by subjecting iron within a vacuum chamber. So this is to show how the effect of metal comes into picture with respect to the surrounding environment. And later the coefficient of frictions for different materials are being explained. So that I will start up in the next class. So now currently you can start taking the quiz. I have uploaded in the Google Classroom. I had scheduled it at 10 a.m. if I remember. So you please start taking the quiz. Once it is done, I will start taking the attendance. It is 10:20. You can complete your quiz until 10:25. Along with that, kindly type your name and USN in the chat room. But that is not your mandatory attendance. I'll be calling you the roll list. So please be in Google Meet until the attendance is done. Take the quiz immediately. I'll check the responses. Until now, 2 responses are there. Three are done. Four responses. 5 is done. 6, 7, 8 is done. 9, 10 over. 12, 13 are done. 14, 16, 17, 18, 19 over. 20, others be quick. Others, be quick. 21. Twenty-two. 23 responses. 24 responses. 25. 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. Remaining students, be quick. 31. 'Okay, others kindly submit quickly within 10:30. Now I'll start answering please answer the attendance. Abdul Khalik Pasha.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, today yours is the second class. Akhil KV. Okay. Anil Kumar.
Yes, ma'am.
Ankesh Aman.
Yes, ma'am.
Gautam Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Balaji VR.
Yes, ma'am.
Beldar Mohammad.
Present, ma'am.
Chaitanya SR.
Present, ma'am.
Chetan Kumar. Okay. Dheeraj CN.
Yes, ma'am.
Ishant. Okay. Harshit S. Harshit S absent. Himanka. Himanka absent. Kanishka Reddy. Kanishka Reddy absent. Nagamurli Krishna. Nagamurli Krishna absent. Kunal.
Present, ma'am.
Why you were absent continuously for 3 classes?
I was present, ma'am.
No. If you are present, I would have marked you the attendance, no? Dhanush, be regular to the class. Dhanush, Mohammad Ayan, Mohammad Junaid, Mohammad Junaid, Shri Prasad,
Present, ma'am.
Niharika, Niharika, absent. Nihar Venkat Sai,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Nikhilar,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Nihar VS, what is the USN number of Nihar VS? Okay, he is present. Nikhilar,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Nirab,
Yes, ma'am.
Prajwal. Prajwal Patil. He has not attended a single class. What is the problem with him? Is he attending
Ma'am,
other
he's in-
classes?
Ma'am, he's in financial management, ma'am.
He is in financial management. Okay. Then why his name is in tribology list? Prajwal S. Bhatt.
Present, ma'am.
Prajwal. He is present. He's not answering. Okay.
Ma'am.
Rishabh Pandey.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Rohan. Rohan
Present, ma'am.
Kablakar. Okay.
Present, ma'am.
Roshan Yadav.
Yes, ma'am.
Sumant Sagar.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sagar Datta. Sagar Datta Mathur.
Yes, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Yeah. Sagar GV.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Everyone type your name and USN in the chat room as well.
My name.
Sanjay Raghav.
Present,
Sanjay
ma'am.
Raghav. Okay. Shobit. Shobit. Absent. Siddharth and Siddharth Sridhar. Both the Siddharths are there. Siddharth Sridhar is there.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the other Siddharth? Siddharth B. Absent.
No idea.
Subramanya. Subramanya.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Tirumani Sethi Rohan.
Yes, ma'am.
Rohan. Okay. Ulas. Okay. Vidyan.
Present, ma'am.
Varun.
Present, ma'am.
Pavan. Pavan. Danush. Okay. Dhyanesh. Dhyanesh Kumar. Absent. Gunsagar.
Present, ma'am.
Meghanath.
Present, ma'am.
Rasik Baran. Rasik Baran. Absent. Shiva Krishna. Shiva Krishna. Shreyas L. Shreyas L. Srinivasalu.
Yes, ma'am.
Yogananda. Yogananda absent. Kiran R. Kiran absent. So Shiv Pavan. Shiv Pavan is absent.
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Present. Okay. Gautam Sai.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. So fine. So everyone take care. I have seen 34 responses, 2 more yet to give. Please give the quiz immediately. So those who have completed the quiz, take care and be prepared for the test. The internals is coming from the next month as per your calendar of events, right? So I will tell you the portions until where I'll be covering. So please get prepared, ready, be ready, study every day. Then only you can excel well in the internals, either in the examination. So until next week, take care and have a safe day. Bye-bye.